That's all right. Fuck it.
Genius! Genius!
You get to say nothing.
I'll let you listen to my damn truck for an hour.
Mute it.
I spent my afternoon doing something besides listening to your peanut rumble.
It's a freight shaker, baby. Don't talk about my Peter like that.
I like the touch you added with your quad on the dash there.
That thing's waiting to get freaking made. I just finished building it today.
What is it?
A reverb running Silk V2s on Kiss V2.
Kiss like the band?
Yeah.
That's it. You need to deck out one of your quads and like full Kiss stickers. You know what I mean? Like just the band, not the.
If I didn't hate Kiss the band so much, it would be a novel idea.
Yeah, I don't like them either. But
maybe something like the lipstick, the kiss emoji.
That'd be awesome.
All over the quad, something like that.
Let's see what we got going here. There we are. Well, maybe not.
Yeah, I'm seeing stuff.
Yeah, I am too. Okay.
So we'll see. Yeah, I'm seeing stuff. Oh, now we're getting echo.
Okay.
All right. Not real echo. My phone had its volume up.
Okay.
Well, all right, so... All right, I'll throw that out there. If anybody wants to join in, feel free. But yeah, so anybody who was watching, I was just answering. I don't know if you guys could see it, but Joe asked what my plans were for builds, and really I'm doing one update to my everyday flyer here. So this is just a Hyperlight, by Bob Ruge, Pyro Drone, a Hyperlight floss style, and I love it. The one thing I don't love is the prop in the shot. And I know some people don't care about that, but I'd really like to be able to get some of the more cinematic shots without having props in it. So even if they're not all the way gone, having them almost all the way gone is going to be good enough for me. Other than that, you guys who haven't flown a frame like this just don't understand how well it flies. And it's based on the principle that the front props need to have some space from the back props. Unlike a squash decks, where they're kind of further or a lot closer together, like an alien frame or something, you get a lot more dirty air running over your back props, so it becomes a lot noisier, a lot more vibrations, a lot more dirty air to deal with. So this is just barely a Stretch X design. His glide is supposed to be more of a Dead Cat / True X design, and then with a slightly longer nose, getting that camera out in front of the props a little bit. So then the other thing that I really want to work on this year is the racing. I really enjoy going to the track, but trying to fly this fucking cow around the track can be a little tricky at times. So I have this Win 5 frame, and I've had this for a while. I actually took this down to Noobapalooza with me last year, and when this frame got beat up and wouldn't fly anymore, I rolled this one out. Now, it's a little weird to freestyle just because I can turn the camera tilt down, but it's so light that it just throws itself through the air. It's unreal. But I want to be able to get a little bit better at, running this thing around a track with a little bit higher camera angle and trying to be, semi-competitive, at least locally. So looks like we either lost Joe. Yeah.
Sorry, I lost me there for a minute. I was
Okay, I always get worried that it's me.
It's not all about you, Josh.
Not about me, but I worry that I am the problem.
Oh, well, that's usually my job. I'm usually the problem, trust me. Professional, whatever.
So, Adam, you'll have to ask Chris. I had this thing running around the park with him and Joe last weekend. Oh, wrong thing. The racing frame. So I went ahead and strapped some 5152s to this. Super aggressive props. 2 blades at that. Threw some batteries under it and started just ripping this thing around the park. And I mean, I could barely keep control of it because, frankly, it's fast. It's super fast. And Chris was impressed. I think he thought I was joking when I said I can get it to fly pretty much straight up and down like this in the air. This thing will fly straight up and down.
Yeah, and it screams like a banshee too, which is kind of, attention grabbing, just to say the least.
Some of that was those props. Those 2-blade 5152s vibrate a little bit at full throttle, but the sound they make is so different from a tri-blade.
Yeah.
It actually reminds me a lot of your 7-inch.
A lot higher pitch, but yeah, for sure.
Sound-wise.
Yeah, exactly. I saw there was a manufacturer the other day that was actually making carbon tri-props. Has anybody tried those?
Usually the larger builds will, because what they're still battling is trying to keep the motor sizes as small as they can. 1, for efficiency, but 2, also for cost. Because when you get a prop that big with, of course, everything, weighs more than on the quad than you think it does, it just is a lot harder to spin up the props. So they're playing with carbon fiber props. The problem is they're still brittle.
Yeah, it's true. And I guarantee you catch one, it's going to do a little more damage.
Yeah.
Yes, people, don't fly that close to yourself because it hurts and bleeds quite a bit. Just FYI.
Now, I've cut my ankles before trying to, just fly between my legs or loop myself. Maybe I'm not standing with my legs far enough apart, but...
Yeah, I'm leaving that alone.
What? Yeah.
You tried to tip me this weekend whenever I was flying. You're like, stand on the path doing it. I'm like, no, I miss my flying that much.
No. I mean, I would have let you try. I'm not afraid. After hitting myself in the ankles numerous times, I'm not afraid of the props. But,
really?
No.
Don't do a job on bare skin, but I guess with cloth on, you're all right.
Well, knowing that I could move a little bit if I need to, because even just getting the quad, I've never had it hang up on my leg. It's always just been a scrape. It just leaves some light scratches. 3 or 4 days later, I'm good to go.
Gotcha. Okay. Don't try this at home, kids. Just, no.
Try it at home, record it, and upload it to the Facebooks.
No. It's like those best videos on the internet, in my opinion, are watching people and they're typically DJI, whatever, watching people blow a lot of money that way. I find it amusing. I don't know why. It makes me giggle on the inside and the outside.
Adam, I don't think this does 100 miles an hour. I just don't think there's enough quad here to do that. 80, 85, I'd put a bet on 85. Much faster than that, I don't think so. But 85, I think I've got. We're going to test that at some point. Somebody's going to be down my way. And I've got a long stretch of road for about 1.5 miles.
Yeah. I may be able to recruit a police officer with a speed camera.
We know a guy with a speed gun too, but it's a lot less fun that way.
True. Or you can wait for a police officer to be running speed on 13 over here. And, yeah, exactly. Oh, by the way, Chuck, if you ever do come down this way, yeah, don't go down 13 over here. It's dead straight, cops everywhere. They love trucks.
I'll be there in May.
Really? Oh, yeah.
Man, that really bums me out. We had all those viewers going and the whole damn thing bombed. This fucking NoobTube guy sucks.
Yeah, we'll have to figure something out. We'll figure some tech out.
We will. Part of it's my computer. I mean, this thing's only running an i5. It's got plenty of RAM, but it doesn't have the processor to do everything that this thing's doing. And that's a part of the issue.
You can blame it on me, bro.
No, it's not you.
I don't know, Chuck. I'm working on a project for the company I work for. Their trucking systems that we're about to integrate in them. I kind of feel bad for the drivers because that stuff tracks everything.
Really?
Yeah.
We already got all that. And there's a black box in my truck.
Oh, no. This is beyond that. This is black box, Wi-Fi connected, logs. I was literally told the other day that they can't even move the truck in a parking lot without going through our system. So, to which my answer was, what happens if they break the iPad or the tablet in question? And they went, yeah.
Well, there's a funny thing, man. They keep making these systems for, these tattletale systems for drivers more strict and more strict and more strict. Yet the need for drivers is going up and up and up and up and up. They're only going to drive drivers away. They're going to go work for companies that don't use that shit.
Yeah. And the funny part is the bigger companies are the ones that can afford to put that crap in those trucks because, Jesus, they're not cheap either. So they did get mad at me. They handed me the tablet, and I was able to break into it, to root it in less than, 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah, I'd have that, too. I can't, dude. If they did that to my truck, I couldn't wait, dude. I'd have that thing rooted, freaking stacked, and fucking done up, dude. I'd be doing 80.
Oh, it was hilarious, though, because they're like, oh, no, it's not. It's really not that big a deal. I'm like, really? Watch this. Bloop. I was in it, and they're like, I'm like, yeah, you need to fix that.
Well, one thing those tablets have never had is really robust security.
They can.
Well, they installed when they installed the drive cams in our trucks, it's got a forward-facing and a rear-facing cam, so it looks at the driver as well. So basically, it's a tattletale cam.
Yeah.
And, that went on for a while, and everybody was bitching and complaining, and then one day we got a message that said, you can cover the inside camera, we're turning it off in a week. Can you guess why?
They're liable. I don't know.
Because a couple of truckers decided they wanted to fuck in the back, and they hit the button, and it recorded it. It's to somebody's desk in an office.
Nice. And we have a bad enough time trying to explain to people why they can't look at certain websites on the internet. I mean, and it's truly appalling, the fact that you have to remind people about this stuff. Yeah, it's bad. Ugh. What has been seen cannot be unseen. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no amount of therapy can completely undo that. Just helps you cope.
Yes. Our latest one was, what was it? BigBlackShemaleVideos.com. Yeah. Actually had to have a conversation with someone. This is not acceptable in an office environment.
See, that's the part that blows my mind. These are supposed to be adults. When I left high school, I was so excited because I thought I left all that childish bullshit behind. And by that, I mean poor decisions or choices, bad judgment, you name it, right? So what'd I do? I went to college and associated with a bunch of people that had the same problems. And when I left college, I thought, yes, I'm finally in the adult world. I do away with all that. And then I met a bunch of adults that have all the same problems. And all I've realized is that people grow older, they don't grow more mature.
Yeah, we've we've had our share, even with our last place we both worked at, where there was days of just scratching your head going, okay.
I still share some of those stories sometimes. Like the laptop in the locker, and we'll just leave that at that.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I got backstory on that guy that I'll discuss with you later.
Oh, my God.
That's far and beyond, what we had to deal with. But anyway, yeah, I'll talk to you about that.
Don't be teasing us.
Okay, so I will try to admit as much to keep this, from being any sort of liability issue. Well, so said guy has a problem with pornographic material, and I mean problem. Like, needs to see a doctor, therapy, something problem. Well, apparently, said gentleman in his previous job worked night shift at a manufacturing facility, discovered or ran across the fact that the IT folks did not have the same restrictions on their internet traffic as everyone else, and decided to camp out in the IT office one night and fulfill his carnal needs in the IT room, only to be interrupted when one said IT guy came in early, to which his recourse was to try and barricade the door and hide under the desk of said IT guy, not realizing that there's nowhere to go, and eventually the maintenance guy is going to open the door, and there you are with spit handkerchiefs and all the evidence in the world pointing to what you were just doing in the IT guy's office.
You know, at that point, if you're going to get caught, you might as well own that shit. And I mean, when somebody comes blowing through the door, be sitting there in their chair, no pants on, and own that shit like a grown-ass man. Eye contact the whole time. See, great minds. Because at that point, there's no coming back from this.
If you're going to work in an office and you're going to jerk off during the day, at least go to the goddamn bathroom.
Or the IT guy's room and make the eye contact.
Unreal.
That does make a much better story, though, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And he finished. And then we fired him. Oh, God, that's, yeah. And if you, anyway.
At least he finished.
Exactly.
Oh, he's finished, all right.
Oh, yes, he is. Oh, God. Yeah, though Josh did miss some of the more fun ones we had than that one. We had some really bad ones where people were doing their own filmmaking in the office.
Oh, yeah, then there's that.
Yeah.
You know, working IT at a company like that, and, you know, there's people out there that work IT and have the unfortunate experience of working mostly alone. But if you have the opportunity to work for a decent-sized company, I'll say 150 employees plus, and you're working with multiple people, like, your whole perspective on the workplace changes. It's a different type of organization. And working with those people and getting to see the things that you get to see in that role is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that their job ends up being the job doing all the stuff that nobody else wants to do, not realizing that the people that are responsible for the phones, for the security, for all that other stuff, dealing with AR, HR, dealing with the back-end accounting stuff, you learn all kinds of shit about people that you never wanted to know.
This is very true.
I'm the guy in the office that was always screwing the boss.
Well, from my personal experience, the boss is usually screwing the person he's not supposed to be screwing, or someone else that works under him. But that's another story.
Hey, Joe Stan's in the chat now. Hey, Joe. So I was just telling these guys earlier that your envelope's going out in the mail tomorrow. I apologize, but man, when I went on vacation last week, I went on vacation, and it meant that I didn't do anything that didn't involve exactly what I wanted to be doing. But because I didn't send it out yet, and it's going tomorrow, look at that shiny bad boy. That's your crap spot trophy, bro.
Is the
It's actually a decent size, too. I was actually surprised it's a little bigger than I thought it would be. And I'm going to throw a couple of the HQ prop 5.1 by 4.6s in. So, yeah, be looking out for that in the next couple days.
Are you saying that was a bigger poo than you thought it was going to be?
It was. It's slightly bigger than a normal size pin, so I was kind of surprised, and I was like, yes!
See, that's some stuff that I would wear to like a meeting that I really shouldn't wear to, just to see if anybody notices. Kind of like a certain mug that I drink out of at meetings.
Yeah. Hey, nothing beats the Goatsy mug. I still have that now. My mom and dad, now, well, not even my mom. My mom, I had to explain to my mom what it was, which was hilarious, okay? I had a ball with that one.
That's awesome.
My dad took one look at it, knew what it was, and I learned that day that my dad knew more about the internet than I thought he did. I was super proud of him. His initial reaction, this is how fast it happened. I handed him the mug. He looked at it and he went, inappropriate. My mom was like, what is it? And she's looking at it and she's like, it's hands. Why is the inside red? And I was like, Mom, come here, look at this. And he's like, no.
Okay, I'm making a check. Wait, do I have it? I might still have it at the office. Hold on. I'm going to go check and see if I have my mug.
Oh, that's fantastic. Joe will have to show you. I come in one day and Joe gifted me the goat sex mug.
Okay. Hold on. I'm going to take these back upstairs just to make my wife's trying to watch TV. But, why did I put stairs in the house? I had the option of an escalator. This is fucked up. All right. Making it back towards the house. All right, cool. So, this, for those of you who don't know, is Goatsy.
Goat sex.
I need more light. We need more light.
Always need more light for that.
Full effect. There you go, Chuck. That is a mug for you. It's got if you'll notice, it actually has the wedding band on it, even.
I'm in love.
Now, imagine sitting in a boardroom that's probably, set about 14 people, Josh?
Yeah.
Sitting in the room, and they're trying to be serious, and I'm sitting there drinking tea out of this, and Josh is on the other side of the table, trying not to laugh his ass off the entire time we're at the meeting, because he knows what it is, and no one else has a clue.
That's right.
And everybody is trying to be all, we worked for a place that, was super concerned about appearance. So, there we are in a boardroom meeting, and I'm drinking out of an asshole.
I was done.
Yeah.
It was so perfect.
And then I got a new one, actually, that I now, anytime I'm in a room with a director above, and I have to be in a meeting with him, I now have this mug.
That is awesome.
It looks like a shrunken head.
But how does it sit up?
Oh, no, it actually has a base. But...
Oh, I have audio now.
His name is Jeffrey.
I love it! You can't even keep a straight face.
So I actually sit there and drink out of this. I'll literally sit there and hold it by its ears.
Oh.
While people are talking, and I will just set it down on the thing, facing whoever's talking. And I will rotate it to whoever is talking.
Is it still in
Say hi
blood?
to E-Drone.
That's E-Drone. How you doing, Eric?
Is it filled with blood, Joe?
For liability purposes, I can't answer that question.
It looks like something out of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I found an art gallery in Tennessee, actually. So... it was like
you told me to come in as I am, so I have no shirt on right now.
Oh, man, and here we are, public.
Let us get some nipple.
Yeah, man. I got something that's gonna... I want to show you guys something cool I got today.
Whoa, no. Oh, wait, what are you showing? This is how every bad video conference starts with Josh. Do you have a shirt on?
No.
It's not my shirt you should be concerned with.
Check it out. All right, here we go. I got the Wizard X220 high volt, but I selected the non-roll of death version.
The roll version?
I selected the non-roll of death version.
Now, you're going to have to explain that option to me because I didn't realize that was an option.
So the joke is, evidently, a lot of people are having issues with this quad when you go fly and you do like crazy fast maneuvers. It's just doing the flip of death right out of the sky, like every time. Good thing I fly on slower rates.
If it was a Microsoft product, it would be a feature. Just saying.
So that's my gimmick is I got the non flip of death version here. I make sure I check that box, you know.
Man, I'm excited to see that thing flying. I'm seeing a lot of positive stuff about it. Like anything that's kind of budget, you know, you got the things that it's easy to say could be better, but considering what you're getting.
Hey, if nothing else, I got 4 good motors on this beast and a Speedy Bee Bluetooth app.
Bro, now hold on a second, because they added the 2 extra standoffs to the frame. You have a lost drone buzzer. You actually have... The ESC is not bad. I don't think a problem is going to be the ESC itself. It's going to either be wiring or it's going to be firmware. I have a feeling you can fix that. The flight controller itself is actually very decent.
So this is what people think is the issue, is the pin connection from the flight controller to the ESCs. They think it's not a good enough connection and not a tight enough connection. So when you do these maneuvers, violent maneuvers, it's coming desynced from each other because the pins they don't have a good connection.
Well, you'd be able to see that from if you do I don't know if there's the option to do, brain fart, data logging.
Okay.
You would be able to see it.
Like Black Box?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you'd be able to see basically when it went to, if it was a desync where the ESC lost signal, the gyro and the flight controller would still show a full, like it was trying to do a full counter, but you would be getting an opposite result from your video. So like say, for example, suddenly it dropped to the left. You were flying along and it dropped to the left. You would see your motors of the ESC would show the motors ramping up full on the left-hand side. But you would be getting no results and would drop out. That's how you could tell real quickly whether it's a desync issue.
Right, because the people that I saw that have had the issue, the ESC is doing the restart chime, like where it lost connection, where it does the tones.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hoping I got a good one because with Banggood, it's like rolling the dice.
Bro, I don't think it's a matter of getting a good one or bad one. I think you got what Eachine put out there. And again, you'll find little things you can do, but even going through the quad and just resoldering everything is probably going to prove fruitful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's a good thing. I mean, for someone like me, this quad is great because I've already built quads. I have no problem taking apart and tinkering. But for the noob, it's tough because it's at that price point for a noob. But if they're going to have to mess around with all this stuff, is it really good for a noob? I guess it's good to learn.
Hey, it's no different than getting an OG 220.
Right.
It's no different.
Yeah.
You end up buying this platform. You think you got this shit under control. You get 2 flights out of it before you wreck the thing, and then the real learning starts.
Yeah. That's crashing is learning, isn't it?
I don't know, man. I think maybe I did it a little backwards because I didn't buy a single kit. Everything for me was a straight up build. I looked at sourcing parts. But I guess my background's a little bit different because I started off with full regular gas-powered helicopters and airplanes and kind of reverted, so to speak.
I love gas-powered helicopters, man. I could watch those for hours.
Yes, but you can crash them in milliseconds, and it's a $150 crash kit regardless of how hard you hit the ground.
I know it. I know it. My dad, he tried to get into it. He was fascinated, still is, with the helicopters. So I'll still remember when he bought his first, it wasn't a gas-powered one. It was a brushless helicopter. And he was so excited. He got this kit and he spent hours putting it all together. And he was so excited. And he went to take off and crashed that thing within like 3 seconds. And it just shattered into a million pieces. And I just watched his face just go from like the biggest excitement to like the biggest downfall.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible.
Saw that look terrible in my dad's eyes, but that was because yeah, no, I've seen the same. I've done the same thing in all honesty, and yeah, real helicopters are I always used to joke that you could tell a good hobby shop that if you walked in and you said you were interested in buying a helicopter, if the next thing out of their mouth wasn't, okay, and here's the crash kit that you're going to need, if that's not the best thing out of their mouth, they're trying to just take your money because
it was the same look that I had on my face when my drone flew away with me and Josh.
You didn't set your fail safe and it just, bye.
No, I lost video, and me being the bright guy that I am decided, oh, maybe if I fly higher and further away, I'll isolate myself and get my video back.
Oops.
Because we were flying with like 5 other guys, and I was getting stomped on my video.
That'll do it.
Yeah, I shouldn't have taken off. I was trying to chase a wing and got over anxious.
What happened? Yeah. No, at least it's not as bad as the look on, I'm sure your dad's look on his face wasn't as bad as the guy who, when I was in Germany and first started flying airplanes, a guy bought one of the first like pressurized kerosene pump jets. Like, I mean, these things were like just out of the market. I mean, this was probably in mid to late 90s. And guy was just tickled to death. No, sorry, earlier than that. Anyway, well, he took this thing off at the field, and everybody was like, oh, this thing's awesome. The guy took off down the field, pulled us, if you're used to flying like balsa wood-based airplanes, you use basswood connecting rods to the aileron versus to the servo. And it's acceptable because there's enough strain. Well, he had this jet, and he took off down this thing. He took off, and it went to a vertical climb. And he went to go do a snap roll like this, and apparently it broke the bass rod connector to his ailerons and his well, to say the least, it did this nice little spurl and then came straight down to the field and buried itself in the ground about 1.5 feet and caught on fire. And the guy went into the field and started crying and threw his remote to his buddy, and his buddy's like, "Man, calm down. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal." He's like, "Dude, you don't understand." He's like, that was our vacation money, and I didn't tell my wife that I bought this.
And that was the first mistake.
Yes. So with a grand total of like 45 seconds of flight time and $3,000 later, that sucked.
It's just money. We can't take it with us. We might as well destroy it and crack it and have fun with it, right?
Agreed.
As long as you don't let the old lady find out.
or fly it away and get chopped up by a bush hog, whatever your poison.
That was mighty specific.
Wow, that was rather specific. I mean, that'd be like me talking about taking a header through a windshield or something.
Yeah, who would have thought, right? The bush hog would have found the quad before we did.
I heard about that, actually. Did you count the pieces? I mean, or was it just like, there it is?
I heard it and saw it through video, and I was like, "Oh, there's my quad. Oh, there's my quad." And yeah, that's more than one piece.
So, how many do you guys?
He said I'd say this one took a licking, but did not keep ticking.
So, how many of you have gone to running buzzers on everything you got now after losing your first one?
I've got all three now.
Really?
Yeah, I've got the Lucky Box buzzers with the little 1S LiPo.
Yeah, I got one of those.
I have one of those on my freestyle build, and I have one of them on the Budget Basher race drone build. And then, of course, my new Wizard comes with one from the factory, so I don't even have to install it.
So, out of curiosity, how does it work? Because I have one. I haven't installed it yet. So, here's what I've got going on in my head. I'm having this image of me installing this thing, going out, flying, having a good time, taking it home, hanging it on the wall, and then 3 o'clock in the fucking morning, this thing going off and making me have to, like, throw it out a window.
So, it will do that if you don't disarm. You have to disarm it. So the way you disarm it is you just have to remember, after you unplug your battery, you have to wait for it to beep, which is, you can set different timing. Mine's like 10 or 15 seconds. And then once it starts beeping, you plug the battery back in, wait for it to boot up, and then you count 3 seconds and unplug the battery, and it'll give you a bunch of rapid beeps, meaning it's disarmed. It's not going to go off again. Or there's a button on it. Or there's a button on it. You can just push that. But sometimes the button's not always easy to get to.
I'm gonna have to hotwire that bitch because I will be throwing it through a window.
It's a good little insurance policy. I mean, they are pretty loud.
Yeah. I did spend like 2 hours one day. I turned a 30-minute lunch break into a 2-hour siesta out searching for a quad that crashed. And the effed up part is it was like probably like my 4th or 5th time out flying. I was over in the middle of Salisbury flying at a church, and it went down, and I could barely see anything out of the camera. I didn't lose the batteries, but all I had was literally like a sliver of sky, and I'm like, where in the fuck is... I literally spent 2 hours tromping around trying to find this stupid thing, and finally... I'm not even shitting you. Where I thought it crashed, it was like 300 yards away. And I was like,
well, that's how it was for us when Josh and them were helping me search in this chigger-infested grass that's about, 4 foot tall, where I thought I lost a quad, but it ended up being like way over on the other side of the property in the horse pasture.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did Josh show you the new rules for when we're doing flights when we're chasing each other for footage?
What's that?
So if you're up on somebody's ass close enough that you're like, I could like take him out. The rule now, what you gotta do is yell out, "I'll buy the parts," and then just ram them. Just go for it.
Oh no! I'm gonna have to add some additional parts on mine.
Some of that chase footage I got is good, too.
I haven't even uploaded the stuff I've got off of mine whenever I was up Chris's rear.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I'm definitely trying to do some wing chasing again.
Oh, we weren't wing chasing. We were just quad chasing, but trying to stay in a pack.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the other dumb thing about that day was my DVR for some reason it didn't work in my goggles. I had the SD card in, but for some reason it didn't record, and I thought, it's all right, it's just one flight, who cares, I don't need a DVR. I just want to get up there and get that footage. And of course that was the footage that I really could have used that DVR to try to find the quad.
Oh, by the way, Josh, you know what I figured out was wrong with that Armatan? Remember I told you when I dropped out video this weekend?
Yeah, I remember you telling me, but I didn't.
Well, I figured out what it was. There was actually water in the camera housing. Don't fucking ask me how, but there was I literally pulled the lens out and there was water inside the housing, and I'm like, what the hell? Turned it up, there's a Eagle, Runcam Eagle. Flipped it upside down, literally tapped it, and water came out of it. And I'm like, okay, that's good. I set it on the air conditioning and heating vents in my house. Let it run through the heat, turn it on, let it dry out, plug it back in. It works.
Awesome.
Nice.
So, but how the hell it got in there, I fucking couldn't tell you. I mean, that Armatan's taken some pretty good hits, but I thought those things were watertight.
The cameras are not. That's a common misconception.
What'd you say?
I said it makes you wonder if they like conformal coat some of those parts.
It's still running, so I'm happy.
I know DJI, they conformal coat all their circuit boards and everything. That's why a lot of people get caught in the rainstorms and the drones are fine, you know? Makes you wonder like how many companies are actually conformal coating, but they don't really advertise that they're doing it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, most of those are pretty much sealed to the case almost. The problem is when you're trying to conformal coat and you've got USB ports or SD card slots or that kind of HDMI ports, then conformal coating will only go but so far, unfortunately.
I'm thinking next time we get together, we need to have a conformal coat party, Josh.
I'll bring the paper back so we can all huff it, because damn, you're going to be hot.
Yeah, we got to conformal coat everything, man.
My stuff already is. I put it together, I fly it around for a day, and if I like it, I go back and pull it back apart and coat it.
Yeah. So, Josh, have you ever lost a quad?
No.
You lucky bastard.
Never lost one. Now, not to say I haven't momentarily lost track of where it went down, but I've always recovered them.
Oh, man. That's crazy. I've lost too many. I don't even want to say how many I've lost. It's embarrassing.
Really?
Yeah. It's not just race drones. I mean, I've lost GPS quads. I've lost like 3 now.
Really?
Did you?
Yeah.
What's the big DJI with the arms that fold up? The big camera platform one? Which one's that one?
The Mavic?
The one where it starts like this and then the arms fold up that way and
Oh no, that's the Inspire.
Yeah, there's one that's like $20,000. It's like the full camera, like professional camera rig.
Chris has one of those.
Who does?
Yeah, Chris has one.
Oh,
Chris and Eric were in the photography drone scene a long time before they were in the FPV drone scene.
Gotcha. Okay. There's a video on YouTube of a dude buying one of the ultra high end, like $20,000 ones, and he's out in front of this gorgeous house with this giant garage, and he's being a D-bag, and he's like showing it off, and I think it's the DJIs on that one. Like if you start it up and you hold the sticks in, it bypasses the GPS lock, and the dude like powers it up, and you see him go because he wants to show off, and he goes to fly it right in front of his garage. And he's sitting there and he's like, static dissipation on aircraft parts, carbon fiber aircraft parts. And it's basically nickel coated carbon fiber. I got shit sitting in my garage. It was like $300 a pound. I got a 5 pound spool of it for nada. But yeah, that sounds almost like a glorified is it PTFE? No, glorified, a lot of plastics have injected with carbon strand and glass fiber reinforced. Well, the initials are rattled around in there, but anyway, they do the same thing. They'll do plastic injection where there's actually carbon strand in it, and I guess they're probably doing it with a higher fiber ratio and then using a press in order to basically mold it. I'm gonna move this shit up because it's gonna annoy me.
Well, it's got the rooster cage, like the titanium or whatever that they used, but they made it a little bit thinner because they claim that nobody can break these cages, so it's an overkill. We need to make it thinner, lighter. So yeah, they made that lighter and they made it smaller to house your micro camera now, and it actually swivels. So the whole housing for the camera actually swivels, so when you adjust your camera tilt, it adjusts your GoPro at the same level.
Huh. Okay.
It's pretty interesting. Just the design of it's pretty interesting, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of the one piece bottom plate. I like individual arms myself.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
But they're of course they're making this claim that this NASA space station carbon fiber is like so freaking strong that like, no, you're not going to break it. Like, it's not even going to break. Like,
there's nothing that NASA does with their carbon that any other composites manufacturer isn't doing with theirs. Aerospace grade carbon is no different from quad grade, is no different from the stuff used by NASCAR, is no different than any of it. It's all the same exact stuff. They're using the same resins. They're using the same. The only thing that they're doing is some of their facilities actually are able to facilitate like larger parts or even higher temp stuff,
and consistency. NASA's big.
If anybody says they have something that's unbreakable, give it to me.
Yeah. There is a material, Pagona, the Zonda. Who makes the Zonda? The Zonda and the Huayra race cars, or they're actually street cars, but they have a material called the carbonitanium, which is actually a titanium-coated carbon fiber strand.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what it is. That sounds familiar. That might be what it is.
And that stuff is just off the hook, insanely resilient, to the point where whenever they did the first prototype of the Huayra, it's a monocoque, so that the passenger compartment is in a structural member of the car, and they actually crash tested this car like 5 times before they damaged the monocoque, and they had to replace it. So it's that shit.
That might be what it is, because that sounds familiar, like what you just said.
That stuff is as long as you can prevent DLAM issues, that shit is
right.
Shit. So I'd be interested. Well, but that shit was expensive. I mean,
well, yeah, and of course they never got around to the price point, of course, because it's not out for release yet. But he said it's going to be out soon. Well, the thing is, if you can pretty much guarantee that, like, if you break this frame, you can get another one.
Dude, they already do.
I guess it would be worth it.
But they already do that. So why would I spend more for something that does the same thing?
Well, because they're adding more features as far as the rotating front cage and lighter. It's lighter. But here's the thing: why do you want to go lighter when this is designed for freestyle? The heavier the quad, the better it's going to be for freestyle anyway, right?
It'll flow better. I don't know if it's going to be better. I mean, everything in weight means longer battery life, which means more range, which means more. I mean,
what the weight is buying you is less twitchy throttle response. The whole it throws itself better. No, it carries its weight better. For the same reason that you get a smoother throttle response is because it weighs more. It's harder to move that mass too quickly. Yeah. That's all.
Okay.
Talking like
What's that, Chuck?
Said Josh talking all like he's smart and he knows.
I know.
I've seen
everything that comes out of Josh's mouth sounds like it came straight out of a textbook. Where's that textbook at, Josh?
I wish. If I ever find that book, I'm sharing it with fucking everybody. Because I've spent almost 2 years looking for this book.
I have a book. It's a big one. It's called Shit I Don't Know.
Yeah.
And anyone who says they don't have the same book is a goddamn liar.
Well, I will say I put the rates that we had on my Source One, Josh. I put those rates on my Mobula 7. This thing is amazing.
What kind of decrease per second you pushing on your stuff?
Oh, shoot. I'm only doing like 524.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I like mine real docile, real calm, real tame.
Yeah, mine's still on the
that. I like the flowy stuff. You know, the real slow, flowy stuff. I'm the opposite of Chuck.
But you know, I don't know if you guys have noticed, if you watch Chuck's stuff from 6 months ago or even a year ago, and then you watch his stuff from 3 months ago, and then you watch his stuff from 2 months ago, he is getting smoother and smoother and smoother.
What kind of race do you run, Chuck?
3,000 degrees.
About 920. Yeah.
How fast it'll go? That's it. Wasn't there like a limit of like 2,000 before Betaflight stuff started freaking the hell out?
Well, at KISS, it's 2,000. It'll tell you warning, way too high, like right on the GUI.
One of the Betaflight releases basically like if you put like 2,000 at like 1,990, it would just lose its shit and start going ballistic. It would like almost like restart the. In fact, I remember it would restart the flight controller. It would like just completely lose its mind.
Look, I have had mine as high at one point just to see at the stick ends. Obviously, this has nothing to do with the middles. At like 13 to 1,400 degrees per second, and it was amazing and terrifying all at the same time because you go full deflection, and it was just like it was like blender mode.
Yeah, see, and there is some advantage to that depending on what you're trying to do. So if you're trying to do like a knife edge trick or some kind of a really quick spin through an obstacle, I can see where you would want that high of a rate. Whereas if you had a slower rate, it's going to be harder to kind of spin the drone through the obstacle, you would think, right?
I agree. But God, when